says, I traded Lamb for essentially 2 top 4 picks in the 2025 draft. Is that a bad trade? I always feel like context is needed in these trades. I mean, I would imagine if you're trading Lamb, are you punting this year? Are you looking to build for next year? Is that what's going on here? I mean, because if that's the case, then sure.
Mm.
If you're trying to win now, then I'd love to know what the rest of your wide receiver room looks like. I mean, Anthony, you want to go to this or?
Yeah, there is, whether you're win now or rebuilding, CeeDee Lamb is
No,
a
he
young
did follow
receiver.
up by Anthony. He did follow up. I apologize. He said he's rebuilding and taking the first pick.
But still, there is no guarantee that you're going to get another CeeDee Lamb with these 2 draft picks. It's not like CeeDee Lamb's 28, 29. He's young. He is just entering his prime. He just popped for the first time last year. I don't know if I'm making this deal. I would need those 2 picks plus probably a player for me to move CeeDee Lamb right now. Right now, he's arguably the number 1 dynasty asset in dynasty fantasy football. I could see if this was, maybe Jamar Chase because, he has some injury concerns, but like CeeDee Lamb, he has never missed a game due to injury. I don't think he's missed a game at all. And he's a player ascending right now. I don't know if 2 top 4 draft picks are enough to move the needle, because what if one of those picks is a bust?
Yeah. Pete, as I go to you, and I'm sure you're going to give some great thoughts, I just want to tell you had a great thought in wearing a shirt that matched the can of beer that you're drinking. So
I noticed that as I was watching myself in the camera.
Oh, I think it's cool.
And I noticed it. Yeah, I'm not usually the best at matching. I give pushback on Anthony just a little bit. I do prefer Jamar Chase still, just because Joe Burrow is locked up. We know they're going to lock Jamar Chase up. We technically still don't know the future with Dak and CeeDee, both guys that have to get paid, plus Parsons. There's a chance that one of them is not there next year. I don't think it's likely, but at least with Chase, I also think Chase is more of a home run hitter than Lamb. Not to say Lamb is inferior talent wise, but I think Chase is just a better talent overall. But CeeDee's been nothing short of spectacular, and you're splitting hairs.
That's right.
Yeah. But in terms of, I just wanted to give Anthony a little pushback. But in terms of the trade itself, look, I personally don't love it, but if you trust your gut and you feel like, hey, you have a good feel for the prospects coming out, and you're going to have the number 1 overall pick, and maybe you need a quarterback, all right, you know what? Then just make sure you're doing your homework and make sure that you feel comfortable in those picks that you take. But to Anthony's point, I think it's tough when it's a young player like Lamb, because you're hoping that one of those players becomes Lamb. And that's where I kind of struggle a little bit. But if you feel confident that it's going to be a good draft class and you can pick well and you can turn it into 2 elite players, then by all means, especially if you need quarterback and it's a super flex and you like the quarterback class coming out, maybe you like Sanders or whoever, then by all means. Personally, me, I wouldn't do it, because if I'm trading an elite premium asset like Lamb, I at least need a player that's proven back plus picks. I can't just trade an elite asset like that's young for picks. It's just too much of a lottery.
And let's say, to be fair, you're using like a keep trade cut trade calculator. You actually, those 225 early first, you actually win the trade. But to me, there's just so much uncertainty. Let's just go back to last year ADP, and I don't know if this is a super flex league, but let's call it 1 quarterback. Bijan, he looks great. Gibbs, JSN. What if it's that type of draft class? Jordan Addison. What is Quentin Johnston? Zay Flowers. Would you rather have 2 of those or 1 CeeDee Lamb?
The other thing that I wanted to mention is this is also the risk is, yes, you don't know how these players turn out, but to me, we talk about this a lot, Anthony, when it's NFL draft time. What team are these players being drafted to?
Right.
Like, do you get a Caleb Williams who suddenly walks into the room with this great wide receiver room and, you expect it to go well? Or do you get a quarterback who goes into a dumpster fire situation, talented as hell, but it looks miserable on his depth chart, has no weapons. So there is that risk there. I mean, I'd probably keep CeeDee Lamb also just based on age. You know, and I understand what Pete with the pushback with the Jamar Chase, everything else, but yeah, I think I'd hang on to it. But you know what, man? Screw it. If you made the deal, you made the deal. Just I would tell you, make
It's
sure you
not a
watch
bad
college
deal.
football.
It's just
It's not a bad deal.
yeah.
I just don't think I would do it. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean you know, just because we say we wouldn't do it doesn't mean it's bad. It could work out great for you, and honestly, we hope it does.
Yeah.